Okay, so let's jump into this. We're going to be talking about um, biomechanical engineering
Yeah.
and, specifically jobs that could be good fits for people with autism.
hmm
And to help us out today, we have this excerpt from Cheap ABA Exploring Biomechanical Engineering Careers for Individuals with Autism.
That's a great resource.
Yeah, it's like a roadmap, breaks down different types of jobs, pros, cons.
I think it's interesting how that excerpt not only focuses on the technical skills you need, but also like the personal qualities that can really help you succeed in those careers.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really emphasizes how, those personal qualities that are often found in individuals with autism can be incredible assets.
Totally.
So let's start with biomedical engineer.
Okay.
These are the people behind all those amazing medical devices we see, like prosthetics, implants, even those, diagnostic machines doctors use.
Right. It's all about using engineering to solve real medical problems.
Hmm.
I mean, this is where you really see engineering making a difference in people's lives.
Yeah, I bet that's incredibly rewarding. And the source talks about that, the impact of the role, um, how it directly improves people's health and, quality of life.
Mm.
And there's a lot of teamwork with healthcare professionals too.
Yeah, that's really important.
So it seems like it'd be a very, collaborative environment where you're always learning and, innovating.
And when you step back and look at it, biomedical engineers are absolutely essential for advancing healthcare.
Yeah, for sure. But
Of course, like any job, it has its challenges.
right, and the source points out that problem solving in this field can get pretty complex.
Yeah.
You'd need a strong grasp of biology engineering, and this is a big one. All those intricate medical device regulations.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's not just building something cool, it has to be safe and effective.
And that actually brings up a really interesting point.
Yeah.
Individuals with autism often excel at systemizing, focusing on details.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about it, those strengths could be incredibly valuable when it comes to like navigating the complexities of this field. Yeah.
It's almost like their way of thinking naturally aligns with what biomedical engineering demands.
It's like their brain is wired for this kind of work.
Right.
Okay, so now let's switch gears a bit and talk about research scientists and biomechanics.
Okay.
So these are the folks digging into how physical forces affect living organisms.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking sports science, rehabilitation, even ergonomics, which is like, designing things to be comfortable and easy to use.
Yeah, it's really cool because this role is all about pushing the boundaries of knowledge. I mean, you're not just applying what's already known, you're creating new understanding.
Right.
Imagine uncovering the secrets of like how the human body moves or discovering new ways to help people recover from injuries. I mean, it's cutting edge stuff.
It really is. And
Yeah.
the source highlights how this kind of research can lead to incredible breakthroughs in human health and performance.
Yeah.
And there's a plus here. You could work in academia, government, or industry.
Oh, wow.
So lots of flexibility in terms of, where you take your career. Flexibility is fantastic. But we should also consider, the potential downsides.
Sure.
Research can be slow. It's a meticulous process. It takes a lot of patience.
Oh, yeah.
And securing funding for projects can be competitive.
Hmm.
And then the results might not be as immediate or tangible, compared to like designing a medical device you can actually hold in your hand.
That's a good point. The source does mention the challenges of funding and the gratification can be delayed in research.
Yeah.
But then again, imagine the sense of accomplishment when you finally do make that breakthrough.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so moving on to a field that I think, sounds particularly fulfilling, rehabilitation engineering.
Okay.
So this is all about designing those assistive devices and technologies that directly help people with disabilities overcome challenges.
This is where engineering truly merges with empathy, I think.
Yeah.
You're creating personalized solutions
Mm.
that help individuals regain their independence. Like, think about designing a prosthetic leg that allows someone to walk again, or developing software that helps someone with a speech impairment communicate. You're directly improving lives.
Yeah, it's very hands-on work too,
Mm.
which I imagine is incredibly rewarding.
Oh, for sure.
But, and the source brings this up, but like, understanding the diverse needs of clients can be really complex.
Oh, yeah.
Each person is unique and their needs are unique.
Mhm.
So it takes a lot of empathy and problem solving to create solutions that actually work for them.
Absolutely. And funding limitations sometimes, they can restrict how far you can push those boundaries of innovation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this balancing act, between finding creative solutions within real-world constraints.
Right.
Like imagine having this incredible idea for a device that could totally change someone's life, but not having the resources to actually make it happen.
Yeah, that'll be tough.
To be frustrating for sure.
All right, so let's shift gears again to a role that might not be as visible, but is absolutely critical in the world of medical devices.
Hmm.
The quality assurance engineer.
Hmm.
They're kind of like the guardians of safety and efficacy,
Yeah.
making sure everything meets those strict regulatory standards that we mentioned earlier.
Right.
They're the ones who make sure those life-changing devices are actually safe and work the way they're supposed to.
This role really emphasizes that need for precision, attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, those are qualities that many individuals with autism possess, in spades.
Yeah.
It's about meticulously reviewing designs, running tests, ensuring every single component meets the highest standards.
Right.
That focus on detail can be incredibly valuable here.
Yeah, and according to the source, the demand for QA engineers is only going up
That makes
because
sense.
of the increasing regulations in the medical industry.
Yeah.
Plus, you could work in all sorts of settings, hospitals, manufacturing plants, even regulatory agencies.
Oh, wow.
So there are a lot of options.
Lots of options. Yeah, that's great.
But it is worth noting that this role might involve less direct interaction with patients compared to some of the other roles we've talked about.
That's true.
So that might be something to consider depending on your preferences.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've got these four distinct paths within biomechanical engineering,
Right.
each with its own unique set of pros and cons.
Hmm.
So before we jump into the next part, what stood out to you so far?
Mm.
Anything that's piqued your interest?
Well, I think, yeah, it is fascinating to think about, how the unique interests and strengths of someone on the autism spectrum might align with these different biomechanical engineering roles.
That's what I was thinking too. Like imagine someone who has that, laser focus on a specific area of medicine.
Right.
They could totally excel as a research scientist, diving deep into like, let's say the biomechanics of the hand.
Exactly. And that kind of focus could lead to, you know, some groundbreaking discoveries in that area.
Hmm.
Or someone who is super detail-oriented might be a perfect fit for quality assurance.
Oh, yeah.
Meticulously making sure those medical devices are flawless. So, like, their attention to detail becomes a superpower in that role.
Right. You need that kind of focus to make sure those, life-saving devices are working perfectly.
Yeah.
And think about the problem-solving skills often associated with autism.
Oh, absolutely.
Biomedical engineers need to be able to think creatively and systematically to design these innovative devices.
For sure.
It's not just about following a blueprint.
Yeah.
It's about coming up with completely new solutions.
Exactly. And while some individuals on the autism spectrum might find social interaction challenging,
Mm-hmm.
their ability to systemize, analyze, and solve complex problems could be so valuable in these roles.
Yeah.
It's all about finding the right environments,
Yeah.
where their strengths can really shine.
Right. The source kind of delves deeper into the pros and cons specifically for individuals with autism.
Okay.
And of course, it's important to remember that, autism is a spectrum.
Oh, for sure.
So, experiences are going to vary widely.
Yeah, we're talking about broad trends here,
Right.
not making assumptions about any individual.
Exactly.
But there are some common themes that the source brings up that are worth thinking about.
Yeah, one that stood out to me is that the structured environment often found in biomechanical engineering can be a real positive for individuals on the spectrum.
I can see that.
Knowing what to expect, having clear routines, focusing on well-defined tasks, that can really reduce anxiety and allow those strengths to come forward.
That makes sense. When the environment is predictable, it frees up mental energy to focus on the actual work.
Exactly.
And as we've talked about, a lot of these roles require that deep focus and attention to detail.
For sure. Another advantage is that, there's a real emphasis on technical skills
Right.
rather than social skills.
Absolutely.
In these fields, your ability to solve equations or write code matters more than, your ability to schmooze at a networking event.
Yeah. It's about the work itself, not superficial social interactions.
Right.
But, and the source does point this out, communication challenges can still come up,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
especially when you're collaborating with others.
Right.
I mean, teamwork is important in pretty much every field.
That's where finding the right workplace culture becomes critical.
Yeah.
Maybe a company with a strong mentorship program
Mhm.
or a culture of, clear and direct feedback
Mhm.
could be a good fit.
Right.
It's about open communication and, understanding different communication styles.
Absolutely. Supportive work environments can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the workplace itself. The source also talks about how important self-advocacy is for individuals with autism.
Mm.
Knowing your needs and being able to articulate them. That's so important.
I love that point.
Yeah.
It's about empowering individuals to be their own best advocates.
Yeah.
And the source really encourages, individuals to be open about their needs and accommodations,
Right.
but in a way that emphasizes their strengths and how those strengths can benefit the team.
It's about reframing the conversation from like what I can't do to what I can bring to the table.
Yeah.
Like someone might say, I'm not great at small talk, but I'm amazing at data analysis and I can make sure our reports are flawless.
I love that, turning what might be seen as a weakness into a strength.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about something that's, practical, the financial aspects of these careers.
Yeah, this is important for anyone choosing a career path, for sure.
Hmm.
And the good news is biomechanical engineering is generally a well-compensated field.
That's good to hear.
While the source doesn't give us like specific salary figures, it does suggest that these jobs can provide financial security,
Right.
which can be especially important for individuals with autism who might require additional support or resources.
It's not just about the money itself, but, the independence and freedom that that kind of financial stability can bring.
Exactly. It opens doors. It could mean pursuing further education or specialized therapies or even starting a business related to assistive technology.
Wow, so many possibilities. Yeah.
So we've covered the job types,
Hmm.
the unique pros and cons for individuals with autism,
Right.
the importance of finding a supportive workplace,
Yeah.
and even the financial potential of this field.
It's a lot.
What's next?
So I think it's time to address something the source tackles head on,
Okay.
and that is the misconceptions and stereotypes that often surround autism.
Ooh, that's a big one.
It's like this elephant in the room,
Yeah.
that we need to acknowledge.
So what are some of those myths that the source tries to debunk?
Well, one common misconception is that people with autism lack empathy.
Right.
But as we were talking about with rehabilitation engineering, that's simply not true.
Yeah.
I mean, designing those assistive devices requires a lot of empathy and understanding.
The source actually suggests that individuals with autism might experience empathy differently.
Oh, interesting.
They might be more sensitive to injustice or deeply moved by the struggles of others, and that could lead them to create solutions that are truly impactful. So it's not that they lack empathy,
Right.
it's that it might manifest in different ways.
Exactly. And it's really crucial to challenge those harmful stereotypes that limit opportunities for people.
Absolutely.
Another myth that the source kind of tackles is the idea that people with autism can't work effectively in teams.
Right. But again, think about those complex biomechanical projects
Yeah,
that require collaboration and different perspectives.
for sure.
I mean, you need to be able to work together.
And the source emphasizes, the importance of clear communication and well-defined roles within the team.
Mm-hmm.
When those things are in place, individuals with autism can really thrive in collaborative environments.
It's all about setting everyone up for success, really.
Right.
What about that myth that people with autism lack creativity?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, designing a prosthetic limb that mimics natural movement, that's pure innovation,
Right.
it takes some serious out-of-the-box thinking.
The source highlights, the unique ways that individuals with autism might express their creativity. It could be through their problem solving,
Mm-hmm.
their attention to detail, or even like a fascination with a particular subject.
Yeah, it's about seeing the world through a different lens
Right.
and bringing those fresh perspectives to the table.
Exactly.
That's what makes neurodiversity so valuable in any field,
Mm-hmm.
but especially in biomechanical engineering, which is constantly pushing boundaries and looking for new solutions.
So we've explored the myths, we've seen the potential,
Yeah.
we've even touched on, the financial rewards.
Right.
But what does this all mean for you, the listener?
Right.
How do we connect all of this back to your individual journey?
Well, that's where the rubber meets the road.
Mhm.
It's about taking all this information and applying it to your own unique situation.
Right.
Maybe you're a parent of a child with autism who's shown an interest in science and engineering,
Yeah.
or maybe you're an adult on the spectrum considering a career change.
It could be any of those things.
Yeah.
Wherever you are on your journey, I think the key takeaway here is that biomechanical engineering is a viable and potentially really fulfilling path for individuals with autism.
It's a field where your strengths can be celebrated,
Yeah.
your talents can be utilized, and your contributions can make a real difference in the world.
And as we've learned, those contributions can take so many forms.
For sure.
Whether you're designing, life-changing devices,
Right.
conducting groundbreaking research, ensuring the safety of medical products, or helping individuals regain their independence,
Absolutely.
there's a place for you in this really exciting and ever-evolving field.
Yeah, it's like we've opened this treasure chest of possibilities, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And now it's up to you to decide, which gems to explore further.
Absolutely. And remember, this deep dive is just the beginning.
Right.
We've laid the groundwork, but your own research and exploration are key.
Mhm.
This is where your own curiosity takes the lead.
Right. What are some ways our listener can continue exploring?
I'm thinking reaching out to biomechanical engineers,
Yeah.
checking out online forums or professional organizations,
Hmm.
maybe even shadowing someone in the field.
Oh, yeah.
That could be really insightful.
Those firsthand experiences are so valuable.
Yeah.
You get to see the day-to-day reality of these roles, not
Right.
just, the theoretical stuff.
Exactly. And never be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, ask away.
Most professionals are happy to share their insights,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to supporting neurodiversity in STEM fields.
Definitely.
Something that really struck me in the source was how individuals with autism can bring such a unique perspective to biomechanical engineering.
What do you mean?
Well, they might notice details others miss,
Oh, yeah.
or come up with innovative solutions that others wouldn't even consider.
Right.
It's like their way of thinking can lead to breakthroughs that wouldn't happen otherwise.
That's a powerful point, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It challenges us to rethink how we see strengths and weaknesses. What might be perceived as a challenge in one context
Yeah,
could be a strength in another.
exactly.
It's all about perspective.
It's like those optical illusions,
Yeah.
where you see one thing and then suddenly you see something completely different.
Exactly.
And in this case, that different perspective can lead to incredible innovations.
Precisely. It's about embracing neurodiversity.
Yeah.
Not just tolerating it.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing the value of different ways of thinking and approaching problems.
Right.
It enriches the whole field.
So if you're listening to this and you're on the autism spectrum or you know someone who is,
Mm.
I hope you feel this sense of possibility and excitement,
Yeah, for sure.
There's a place for you in this world.
Biomechanical engineering needs your talents, your perspectives,
Right.
your unique way of seeing the world.
Don't let anyone tell you that your neurodiversity is a limitation.
Yeah.
It might just be your biggest asset.
And who knows, maybe someday you'll be the one designing the next generation of life-changing devices.
Right.
Or leading a research team to discover incredible new treatments.
Yeah.
The future of biomechanical engineering is wide open,
It really is.
and it's waiting for you to make your mark.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are your final thoughts for our listener? What should they be thinking about?
Well, think about, which of these biomechanical engineering paths sparked your interest.
Yeah.
We've only scratched the surface here.
Right.
Imagine all the incredible assistive technologies waiting to be designed.
It's amazing.
Could this be your chance to blend your analytical thinking with a passion for making a real difference in people's lives?
Yeah.
It's something to think about as you continue exploring this fascinating field.
This has been an awesome deep dive. I've learned so much. I hope our
Yes.
listeners have too. And I really hope, this inspires some folks to, explore biomechanical engineering.
That's the goal.
Yeah, maybe even pursue it as a career.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible